Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft, the founder and CEO of Judith Heft and Associates, Financial and Lifestyle Concierge. This year, she's celebrating 27 years in business. In every episode, Judy interviews professionals who help others successfully manage their financial lives. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Judy is the author of 2 books, How to Be Smart, Successful, and Organized with Your Money for a Better Today and Tomorrow, and her latest book, Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles, How to Successfully Manage Money in Every Decade of Life. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of the show at www.judithheft.com. Now, here's the host of Mastering Your Financial Life, Judy Heft.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life. Today I'm here with Jasmine Briggs-Rogers, and this is our 51st episode, so I'm really excited to be here with Jasmine and hear what she has to say. So I'm Judy Heft. I'm the Financial and Lifestyle Concierge, and I am the founder of Judith Heft and Associates, doing bookkeeping and bill pay for high net worth individuals and small businesses. So welcome, Jasmine. I'm really excited to have you here today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So we're going to talk a little bit about, Jasmine is a career coach and a resume writer. She calls herself a career transitioner, and she helps executives, managers, and other professionals, as well as recent grads, find their dream jobs. So that's really something fun to be able to do, because you get to reap the benefits of their rewards and get some satisfaction. So thank you, Jasmine. Thanks for being here. So I think one of the things I wanted to talk about is social media, because I know that a lot of young people, especially college age students, and all of us too, but really the younger people that are out there, and maybe they don't realize how important social media is. It can go either way to really have a negative effect, and maybe it can have a positive effect. So how do you handle that? And, what are some of the tips you can give younger people?
Yeah, I think one of the things I always recommend is to definitely take a look at your online presence. Google yourself, see what comes up in terms of what social media sites pop up first. And I would definitely recommend for people who are building their careers, starting their careers, or just, trying to even figure out what to do, to be on LinkedIn, to have that LinkedIn profile show up first as a professional presence. Google now is almost like a free background check in a sense. So I know when I'm hiring, I've definitely Googled people to see what comes up. And so when you're looking for a job or looking to build your career, you really want to know what's out there about you and make sure it's something professional, as well as thinking about where your industry hangs out online. Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? And being present and active on those sites.
So how does it affect someone? What if there's, a young college kid and they're, I don't know, maybe they're rushing a fraternity or sorority, or they're partying a lot, or they're showing pictures of themselves in their bikini, chugging down a beer. How does that affect their job search? And do they really, I think a lot of people, young kids, don't really understand how that's going to affect their future. They're out there having a good time.
Yeah, I think, is this a photo that you want your grandmother to see? Is generally what you say. And people are going to, it's human nature, but they're going to make assumptions about you based on this picture. You went to this one party, and maybe this was the one time you were drinking out of a red Solo cup, but it kind of puts the image out there that that's how you spend the majority of your time, if that is what you're posting online. So almost people make a perception about who you are based on what you post. And it's really important to be careful about what you're posting online, what people are tagging you in, and really knowing that what goes online, there's really no way to get rid of it. Once it's out there forever. And a lot of celebrities, right, they've been recently getting in trouble from tweets that they posted years ago. So thinking about if they can that's happening on a much larger scale, but it happens on the small scale too as well. When hiring managers are looking you up, they're making assumptions about you based on what you put out there online.
It's really good to know that you can't be too careful with your social media presence. You really need to watch who's tagging you and what you're putting out there.
Mhm.
So yeah. So what about someone that's, thinking of transitioning to a new profession? Maybe they want to even change careers, or maybe they want to get something that's a little in their same industry or career, but they want to, upgrade themselves. So how do you work with them?
Yeah, I think it's about getting really clear on what that next thing is. So we would work together to vision and be creative about what we're seeing next in our career. And then from there, especially with career transitioning, it's all about networking. Really taking a look at who's in your current network. How do you build a network within the new industry that you're going to, and how are you positioning yourself as an expert at, say you're trying to move up, or as how these transferable skills can benefit this new industry.
Yeah, that's so good to know. So, and then how do you work with your clients? What's the process?
So the process for working with my career coaching clients is generally, well, go through an intake form that really asks questions about their long-term and short-term goals. I like to always start off with asking people really what is their vision for their career, and spending a couple of sessions sometimes visualizing and really saying, okay, if we could create the perfect situation for you, how much are you making? Do you go into the office? Who are your colleagues? Like, I really believe in the power of being able to manifest what's next in your career. Generally, I also will do something like a Reach 360, which is a brand assessment, so that we can get clear on how your network, which colleagues, friends see you, and how we can use that to craft a brand statement, and make sure that brand statement is within your resume, any kind of cover letters you're sending out, your LinkedIn profile. And then from there, really creating a strategy for networking, applying online, and all the things that go into building a job search.
It's interesting though, because I've been doing a lot of hiring the last year or so. Excuse me. And I see that I have at the end of my job description, it says a sentence about describe to me what a platypus is, because I want to make sure that they're reading the whole job description, because I have found that people just apply to every, especially when you're online, just in Indeed, people are just applying to every single job they see. They don't even know anything about the company or anything. And so that's one of the ways I've been weeding out people, but it's just really difficult to, get people that are really applying for the job because that's the job they want. They're just sometimes I feel like they just apply to anything. They don't know the difference. So that's been a challenge for us. So
Yeah,
yes, go
the
ahead.
sense of desperation, right? When people just like, I want to work. Um, so I think I generally tell people, if you align with 70% of the job description, you should apply. But when you apply to things that are like so out of the scope, like if you're a recent graduate and you're applying to executive director positions, at a certain point, you're just kind of hurting yourself and wasting people's time, when instead of applying to this job that you're not qualified for, you should really be networking within that company to see where you can fit.
So I think that's good information, because I think if you go on LinkedIn, for instance, if there's a company that you want to work with, you can look up and see who works there, right? And see if you know anybody there, or they know anybody that you know, and maybe ask someone to, put a good word in for you. And, it's a lot more than that, of course, but it just always helps to have somebody that knows you that can vouch for you.
Yeah, when you are referred from an employee, you are a lot more likely to get called in for an interview than
Mhm.
if you just apply online. But that's the nice thing about LinkedIn, is you can network within companies, but most colleges have a school page and they have their alumni. So you could go on to your school's alumni page, look up who works at that company, and then try to reach out to those people, so you have more of an in, or a connection with someone that works at that company.
Oh, that's helpful information. Yeah, I guess it's the old, it's who you know. It really does make sense, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. So let's take a little quick break here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more with Jasmine.
Hey there. I just want to tell you a little bit about my new book that just came out called Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles. And here it is. It's how to successfully manage your money in every decade of life. I co-authored this with my CFO, Liz Levy. And together we created this manual that's going to help you through every stage of life. We talk about having a baby. We talk about young adulthood, pre-retirement, what to do when you're at that age of retirement. If you're contemplating divorce, do you need an estate plan? We cover all of these, each subject in a different chapter. And I really think that you're going to find this so helpful because at the end of every chapter, we have checklists that you can look at and you can use, and they can be a guide for you. So this is a wonderful manual that we've created. It's available on Amazon. You can also find it on our website at judithheft.com/book. And we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out. I hope you enjoy the book. Here's another picture of it, just so you know what's going on. Here it is. And I'm really proud of it. It's my second book. And I'd love to have you read it and give me your feedback. Judy Heft, judithheft.com, financial and lifestyle concierge, celebrating 26 years in business. And over the years, I've learned so much. And what I've been trying to do is impart a little bit of this knowledge to you so I can help all of you become as financially organized as I am.
And we're back. We're back here with Jasmine Briggs-Rogers. So, over the years in my interviewing processes, I've seen a lot of different kinds of resumes. I see some one-pagers that are just very boring. I've seen some 3-pagers that are boring, but I've seen some really great ones, some really interesting 1-pagers or 2-pagers that are just laid out so creatively. And so how do you work with resumes, and what are some of your ideas? Do you have any tips you can give our listeners?
Sure. So when talking about lengths of resumes, they really shouldn't be more than 2 pages unless it's a federal resume. As well as for some of our recent grads, a 1-page resume is standard unless you are kind of going back to school and have a long career that's very relevant. Generally, I tell people that employers really only care about the last 10 to 15 years. So you really want to make sure that your resume speaks to the role that you're going for. And there are some ways to do that in terms of using that top part of your resume to create a professional statement that speaks to your accomplishments and how it relates to the role. Just going to throw out there that we no longer use objectives on resumes, as well as you can also be a little creative with how you position the sections on your resume. If you're a recent grad, your resume, your education should be at the top of your resume because that's what's most relevant. Say you transitioning and you've had experience that's maybe 20 years ago. Well, maybe you can create a relevant experience section that doesn't have the dates, but talks about what you did and then go into your current history. So I think there's a lot of ways that you can be creative. It doesn't visually, the most important thing is that it's easy to scan. Somebody can easily pick up what they need to know, and it doesn't look like a bunch of text hitting you in the face. And that I think is more important than the colorful graphics. And sometimes though, that can be nice. I would say you can add a little color to your resume. You can take it out of Times New Roman, right? You don't want it to be too funky in your text. But there are some things to make it more visually appealing and really have scannability and numbers, because numbers pop out at you.
Well, that's great information. So do you ever work with any stay-at-home moms that want to get back into the workforce? Say they stayed home to raise their kids are 12 and 13 now, or even older, or some of them younger. And what do they put on that big gap? How do they figure that out? How can they make that appealing to someone that's looking to hire them?
Yeah, so a lot of times you're a stay-at-home mom, but you were part of the PTA, you volunteered. There were a lot of things that were going on that you can highlight during that gap, as well as being creative with your sections, like I said before, and having some of that past experience. So I think for stay-at-home moms too, it's really about, let's say, just with transitioners, networking and using that network that you were able to build as a stay-at-home mom, and thinking outside of, okay, the traditional 9-to-5 job, what are some of the things that you were doing as a stay-at-home mom? Because I know it's a lot as a new mother myself.
Yes, it's definitely a lot. We're not going to stereotype them and say they're sitting around eating bonbons all day and watching soap operas. We know that's not happening. So do you also help people in the interview process?
Yes, definitely. I help people prepare for their interviews, come up with that elevator pitch or answer to tell me about yourself. We record the sessions, which I would recommend to anybody. If you're practicing for an interview, record yourself, see how you show up on camera. Sometimes we think that we're coming across as really open and we have a mean face, and we didn't even realize we have like resting bee face. So it's really important to see what you look like and how you're.
Oh, that's great advice. I know, because a lot of people don't like seeing themselves afterwards when they record things. I know that I've practiced doing different presentations, and I hate watching them. But it's a good way to do it, because then you can really see how other people are seeing you. I think that's really important. Well, this was great, Jasmine. I think you gave our listeners a lot of really good tips. So how can they find you?
Sure, they can find me at my website, JasmineBriggs.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Jasmine Briggs, on TikTok and Instagram as CI Coaching, and on Facebook, I believe, as Transformational Coach. But if you look at my maiden name, Jasmine Briggs, you can Google me and I'm out there.
Oh, that's great. That's great information. So thank you for that. So, and like you said, you're on LinkedIn and you're everywhere. They'll find you. This is great, Jasmine. Thank you. And I know that you're helping so many people. Oh, one little last question I wanted to talk about. So, because we're all Zooming every day. So are you working with clients on Zoom if they're not in your area?
Yes, typically we work over the phone. So we'll do most of our calls verbally on the phone, and then when we do things like prepare for interviews, we'll do it over Zoom.
This was great. So thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm really glad that we had a chance to talk today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning into Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of the show at www.judithheft.com. Thank you for your positive comments and sharing this show with others.